to implement CIPHER within our department and within our hospital. And certainly want to just go through the way that for stoma nurses, and I've been in stoma care a little while now, worked in a few different areas and different hospitals, and I've never been involved in research. It was a new thing for me to do, and certainly for our team it was very new and actually quite a frightening process for them. So we want to really just go through some of the ways that we've recruited, and the fact that we had to do that together with the research team, the fact it was so daunting for our team, and as a manager saying yes to our chief investigator, will do this, and then having to implement that, I felt quite guilty. I knew that it was going to be a real, an extra workload, even though when we looked at all of that, you know, it's worked out that it's only going to be 4 extra minutes per patient or whatever. We know in reality it isn't. And we want to do this effectively, and it took time to get that right. And this we had to work through all of those little points with our research team. So we were collaboratively working with our cups of coffee, getting together there. So really, just going through the study setup, really, we got together, we had the site initiation visit, and as a team we met to discuss the pathway of care, particularly the stoma care pathway. So the research team didn't really know how we worked and what we did. And also, you know, I'll go through this, you'll hear it a couple of times really, to say that our stoma care pathway is reflected, or all our pathways are reflected in the CIPHER study actually. So that means that when we're stoma nurses, this is really an important aspect of it, because we're seeing the patient at each point anyway, or at least speaking to them. So we discussed the protocol, the logistics, who's best to take this forward and which bits can we separate out, which parts will the research team do to support us. We knew that we wanted to drive it forward and the team wanted to, but looking at the paperwork, the paper CRFs to them in the beginning were really daunting. Understanding the terminology for us, didn't understand what any of it meant, didn't understand the words. So doing the GCP training, as much as it took 4 hours out of our lives, and we'll never get that back. It was really good, and it did really help us have a better understanding why we had to do certain things like that, the thought of having to do all that. Yes, we have a secretary, but we also have a normal workload within the stoma care department, and we are lucky there are 8 of us in our team, and I know many people do not have that in their stoma care teams, so it was great, but we have to share that workload. We didn't know what it would look like. So we wanted to maximise our recruitment, and the research team were going to help us do this. So this is our CIPHER pathway. As you know, I'm sure you've seen this slide multiple times, I certainly have. And so, you know, really, CIPHER pathway, as it says, meets a stoma pathway. So at each point, we were able to understand what we needed to do. We knew we were seeing these patients, and actually, at the preoperative point, that was a great time for us to talk to our patients. We knew that they were going to have stoma formation, and certainly when we knew that they may, plus or minus, we could talk to them about CIPHER. At first, the stoma nurses felt that they were selling, you know, for talking about how we're going to talk to them about research and when do we do it. They felt they were selling something to them, and they found it really difficult. And I was saying, why aren't you talking about it? I'd go back to Pauline and say, how can we do this better? What are we doing wrong? That they don't want to talk to the patients about it. And I then said, during this preoperative chat, we talk about hernia prevention and hernia management. That is the time we can mention CIPHER. It fits in beautifully. You can say it in a couple of sentences, and we almost did like a little, say this, and my team liked that. You know, write this down, learn what you need to say within reason, and it became much more natural. And our patients that we meet do want to be involved in research. We're really lucky. And the other thing is, as you were just saying and alluded to, I felt that we were getting in there first compared to some of the studies. We were able to get them, like, you know, they had seen the consultant, but then they saw us next, and we were in there before anyone else could get there. So I felt that was quite a good time, but we can probably up our game a bit as well within that. The data collection is stuff that we usually collate anyway, so it didn't make any difference, but it's just making sure that we had a more in-depth knowledge of what we needed to collate there. As we said, was a new way of working for us. We had to identify the potential participants. We did that within the MDT, and our consultants would say, oh, I think CIPHER, so we knew that we would be taking that forward. We picked that up as well from our list, and then we'd go through it with the research team as well, so we could identify those people. One of our main considerations there was about consent, and as much as we know all about informed consent, it was how do we do that from a research way, at the right time, in the right place, with the right signature, with the right date that coincides, and that was quite hard, wasn't it, getting that going. But also, we had a time limitation, so we pre-op them, we talk about it, they had to have then time to think about the study, and we'd offer the patient to come back for, we thought, well, we're going to have to do it like this because we've got all the paperwork to fill in. Would you like to come back to clinic? No, no thank you. Oh, I thought you would like to come see us, stoma nurses, we're amazing. They didn't want to come back. There's, we've got a large area and travel was an issue. So we'd have to see the morning of surgery, and again, it's then sort of getting in there as quickly as possible before the anaesthetist, before the consultant. So making sure we're there early to do that, which we do. And so we were able to sort of find, get the consent at that time and make sure that was right. When we're giving the patient information, we do that, like I say, in clinic, and then we collect it at the morning of surgery, put it now in an envelope, we've got it all sorted out how we do it. And gaining written consent is really important. So data requirements, as you can see here, we can see our fantastic teams. And so, as we said, we identified the patient, we had some learning sessions around data collection, and then we were able to collect the data. The consultant would then, or the surgeon would put the data onto the database, hopefully. And at times we had an issue with the database crashing, so we have paper CRF forms now printed off, and theatre staff didn't want, or the sister didn't want us to keep the paper there, understandably. So now we've worked out that what we're going to do, stoma nurses, we see the patient in the morning of surgery, we're going to pop the paper CRF on the front of their notes, and then it's available to them, and it works out that they can then take that data. It took us a while to work that one out, I have to say, didn't it? How do we do this? So we go there every morning at 7:30, not a problem. So that's great. Then the data goes back to our research team, Pauline, who is our data input queen, and she is the one that puts all the data on the database. So we don't have to do that because that was just a little step too far for me and our team, to be honest with you. Okay, over to Pauline.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, so this way of working is extremely different for us as a research team, and that actually took a little while of getting used to, because the study, like Amanda said, has been very much set up to be ran by the stoma care team. So it was very much a different role for me, where I had to kind of give control over to the stoma care team and take a bit of a different role in what I would normally do, because obviously in my role as a research nurse, I'm very used to approaching patients, consenting them, following them up. So again, it's a completely different way of working. So my relationship kind of within CIPHER is very much more of a mentorship and supportive role. Again, just to kind of clarify and help with any queries, and to give confidence and support to the stoma care team. As health professionals, we all like to know that we're competent in doing something. So again, it was allowing kind of little drip feeds of information, kind of in a step-by-step approach to give them the confidence. It was the first time, like Amanda said, that many of them have been involved in research. So again, it's just getting them used to all the different parts of that process. And I think, on the whole, it's been a really positive experience. And the feedback that I've actually got from the team is that they'd be willing to be involved in future research, which is fantastic. So again, we've had some problems kind of along the way, which we've then dealt with. For example, like Amanda said, the theatre database kind of crashing. So we've been using the paper CRF as a backup. Obviously, ideally, we want the theatre information captured electronically, but again, it's always good to have that backup plan so that we can get the accurate data. And again, with some of the information being collated originally from the stoma care team, for example, like parity, we noticed that was often one of the things that was being missed. So we kind of needed to kind of look at why was that, and actually it's not something that's normally collated by the stoma care team, and actually it can be quite an emotive issues. So again, it was kind of addressing and just having a bit of discussion around that as well. So, and it was important kind of for the team to understand why they needed to collect the data, kind of the background to why it was important, to make sure that the data we're providing is as accurate and as high quality as possible. So, as the follow-up burden kind of increased with our numbers, we are just over the 80 mark for participants. So again, as that follow-up burden kind of increased within the Stoner Care team, we had to kind of find a new way of working because that follow-up burden was obviously becoming a bit more resourceful. So we decided that actually a good use of time would be to use one of our Stoner Care administrators to, as she was often phoning patients to arrange follow-up appointments, to ask some of the demographics, you know, have they had contact with their Stoner Care team. And then when the Stoner Care nurses then reviewed face-to-face their patients, then they would provide the score for how well they thought the patient was coping with their stoma. Which is so again, the learning outcomes, there's been learning from both sides. So very much from our side, it's been kind of learning about the way that the Stoner Care team work, and certainly kind of the collaborative working going forward. If we had another similar study, we would definitely know kind of the best way to approach and the way that we should run the study. Again, there's been a wider network of colleagues, which has been fantastic. They've been a really motivated team. And again, we looked at ways to maximise the recruitment from the Stoner Care pathway. And again, that's something that we can then take forward and keep going. Again, following the amendment, we had to have another meeting to kind of look at the issues around retrospective consent, and again, how that was going to maximise the recruitment. So again, that's been really kind of well planned and seems to be working really well. So from the Stoner Care team, they have certainly had a change of their kind of normal practice, and it's actually given them another scope to their role from their day-to-day working, which I think a lot of them have been really enthusiastic and motivated about. So, and they actually felt that they've been shaping the future practice for their patients, so that's, you know, that's really crucial. Again, like I said, they've had an increased knowledge of the research process, so I think they'll be much more keen to replicate this success in the future. So again, for all of these parts that have gone into it, the enhanced knowledge base, the quality patient care and the collaborative relationship has enabled us to capture high quality research data, increase patient participation. They've been really keen to be involved and have wanted to be. And for the SCNs, there's been a wider scope of practice. Now with the CQC having research as one of its new indicators, I think we're going to be seeing this way of collaborative working a lot more in the future. So again, it's really good to address this early, and then we can carry on, like I said, replicating this success. So we are very happy. We've been troubleshooting with some sites who have contacted us. We're really happy to have like a teleconference or phone call for anybody who wants some advice regarding recruitment or kind of troubleshooting. So our contact details are here. So you know, please use us, and we're more than happy to help. So, any questions?
Thank you both very much.